All right, Dad. What is...
Yes, I'm old. Yes, we're talking about My Generation, which is a 60s song called Talking About My Generation. What do you want to know?
Well, no. I think that the boomer generation is still very much worth the time and the effort of churches. I know that's strange to say that because for decades and decades and decades, it was all about the boomers and how to reach the boomers. But
We're so narcissistic. We're so self-centered. It's so all about us. What have you done for us lately? Okay, you can talk about the boomers now.
well, if boomers are narcissists, then millennials are snowflakes. How about that? Let's
Okay.
play into all of the stereotypes, like all of them. No,
Yeah.
there's some good reasons to continue reaching boomers. The boomers have a really high, relative to other generations, really high church attendance rate. So there's
It's amazing. I never thought that would happen.
Well, there are still some reasons why you should prioritize reaching baby boomers. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. Before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, Upward. Upward Running is a great new program. They've got this incredible app. They've got a 5K challenge. Even if you're just wanting to start small with just a small group in the church, you can do that as well. And then you can scale it all the way up to like doing this 5K for your entire community. They can help you with it all, no matter how much you want to be invested here in terms of running, whether small or big, they can do it. So very easy to start, build those connections in your community. The way that you can sign up for all of this is with upward.org/run coach, upward.org/run coach. They've got a whole tailored training plan just for you.
And the good thing about this running, I mean, they're all good. They have so many sports, but this one, if you can find one person that's just on fire about doing a 5K, something of that ilk, then you're going to get a great benefit of Upward. They have a lot of sports, but this is the one that you really can do with a very few people. And all you have to have is a place to start and finish, and it's usually the same place.
Yeah. So let's get into this. Despite the cultural shifts, boomers remain a vital part of many communities, a vital part of many churches. They are open to spiritual conversations, just like other generations. And they still matter. They still matter to the community. Boomers still matter to your church. I realize that the conversation has shifted more to millennials and even more so to Gen Z because it's the youngest generation. I understand why. It's always important to be reaching the youngest generation.
Yeah. And Gen Alpha will be on the radar.
I know. Hang on, Gen Z. You're about to be pushed out by Gen Alpha. But
exactly.
But I do think that there is a lot of value in continuing a strategy for reaching baby boomers. A lot of them are right at retirement age, still have a ton of energy and a lot to offer your church. Some of our best volunteers are baby boomers, and some of those who are more, always here, they're the baby boomer generation.
Hey, I call our generation, the baby boomers, the AD generation.
What's that?
Almost dead.
Well, actuarially, you're closer than I am.
Yeah. But I'm actually right on.
All right. So here's the thing. Latest data, credit to Ryan Burge. We'll put a link to his article because he's pulling data from the Cooperative Election Study.
Massive study at that.
Yes, you can dig into all of the nerdy details by clicking the link in the show notes. But for the sake of radio, we're going to just do a summary here. But boomer nuns are declining.
I never thought I would read that the nuns are declining. And people have to understand the nuns are those with no particular religious affiliation. What is your religious preference? None. That's why they're called the nuns. I was with a group of people yesterday, Sam, that were writing down NUNS, and I had to explain again what the nuns were, NONES. And they, in this generation, more and more of this generation are religiously affiliated one way or the other. It's amazing. It's a trend I did not think would be reversed.
Yeah, I have no idea if boomer nuns, N-U-N-S, are declining or not, but the boomer nuns, N-O-N-E-S, are declining from 28% to 24% in 1 year. So that is a statistically significant number. This is not noise in the data. There is something going on. And what's happening is that there are baby boomers who are moving back into the church. So this being the largest, second largest, I guess millennials are now technically larger, but being the second largest generation in the United States, that should get your attention. That can be a very significant thing for your church.
Yeah, in terms of live births, the boomers were larger, but in terms of who's alive now, not the boomers aren't the largest. So you're correct.
Second thing here, boomers are going to likely be a significant portion of your church's volunteer base, and this, a lot of them haven't quite retired either, but those who are right there at that age often want to be involved. This is something I've found out. Like they genuinely desire to be involved, to serve, to have a significant role in the church. And that's, we tend to think of like younger generations as adding energy to the church. And that's absolutely true, particularly in a worship service. There's an energy that young people add, but there's an energy that you can add to the volunteer base with baby boomers, because they often have the wisdom, the experience, and the time to be able to volunteer and to do that well. So I would just encourage you, don't overlook your baby boomers when it comes to engaging the volunteer base. There's way more energy there than you might realize. And if you look at your current volunteer base in churches, probably what you're going to find is a significant amount of Gen X and baby boomers that are serving together.
Yeah. Do some type of do a survey. You don't
do a
have
volunteer audit.
Yeah, volunteer audit. That's what I was looking for, and just find out who is there. I think that most church leaders are going to be surprised at the proportion that are in the Gen X and Boomer category.
I think so too. And we have a highly engaged millennial group at West Bradenton. And we have some incredible people. But I would say that if you add Gen X and Boomer together, that would be a much larger group in our volunteer base than even our millennials, who are great.
Oh.
So yeah, you might be do a volunteer audit. Just age, who are you? Just take a look at it. I bet you're going to find that there are more boomers there than you realize.
I bet at your church you're going to find a few builders as well.
Yes, yeah. They rock the babies. We still have some elderly grandmas that, man, they are here every Sunday and they are doing an incredible job. So I'm blessed to have all generations serving together. West Bradenton's a case study of unity. I'm a blessed pastor. So boomer nuns on the decline. Who would have thought that? So we'll see if those trends continue. That's just 1 year, but that should absolutely get your attention. 2, they're going to be a good part of your volunteer base. Should be. 3, now this may be a bit controversial, but it's true, and I'll say it anyway. Boomers are likely to be higher givers. Why is that, Dad?
And that's just a reality, because they have more discretionary income, because they are volunteering more. The more you volunteer, the more that you're going to give. I mean, talk to Mike Stottlemyre. I mean, our buddy at Church Growth Services. He would say, don't neglect the boomers as givers. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean you treat them differently or you give them favorable treatment, but don't act like they don't matter when it comes to giving. And as a matter of fact, they can be some of your most significant givers. And I can just tell you, with my generation, I'm hearing more and more about them saying, hey, I have more income than I thought I would, and I really want to support my church more. Don't neglect that.
Yeah, a lot of boomers, if they're still working, are in their peak income earning years, and Gen X is getting there too. So you would expect somebody who is 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old to give more than the 20 or 30-year-old, only because they are in those peak income earning years. And I believe in the tithe. I know that's a controversial subject. I realize not everyone who listens to this may agree with me, but if you are a giver or if you're a tither, you're going to be tithing or giving off of a higher income level. You are likely to be giving more. It just makes sense. So, this is going to be a good portion of the giving base at your church. Let's also not forget that the largest wealth transfer in history is about to happen. We're talking $124 trillion, Dad.
Sam, every time you say that, you look at me and it's like, Dad, how are you feeling?
That's not true. That'll get to our
Oh,
next point. Hang on to that, point four. But before we get to
yeah.
point four, $124 trillion is what's going to be transferred from the boomer generation to their heirs, whoever their heirs are. It will likely be millennials, some Gen X. I feel badly for Gen X because like a lot of this is just kind of skipping over them because they're kind of this generation that kind of got sandwiched in between the boomers and the millennials.
It's so true.
It's very true. And it's I hate it for Gen X. And Gen X, of course, this is just how we live. We're used to this. Everyone forgets about us and we're cool with it. That's kind of Gen X. But this wealth transfer is something that shouldn't be ignored because churches really have an opportunity here to capture, a lot of that giving. And I know I may be using some terms that sound a bit crass, but if you don't ask, you don't get when it comes to giving. You're going to need to ask for this.
And who is asking? The college is asking, the university is asking, the hospital is asking, other charities are asking. My goodness, why isn't church asking? I just, again, go back to Mike Stottlemyre. He has said again and again, Mike, by the way, he's the head of church growth services. And Mike has said again and again, I try to tell these pastors that these boomers and others want to be asked to give. Don't think that you're going to offend them. They wonder sometimes, where are you, church? Ask, ask, ask.
All right. So now on to this next point. The life expectancy for boomers who are currently alive right now is close to 90 years old.
And life expectancy actuarial tables change as you get older. So what I'm saying is you can have the life expectancy for someone just born, it's going to be something, but someone who is 70 is going to have a greater life expectancy because it projects outward. You follow me on that?
Yes.
Now here's where this comes to me. I'm not sure what the American life expectancy is. I don't have that number in front of me, but I recently just quickly went through a Social Security survey, and my life expectancy is now, guess what? 90.
Yeah, and I think that's the point here. A lot of it just depends on where you are right now, and what
Mm-hmm.
age you are right now. But
Exactly.
generally speaking, if you have a boomer in your church, that boomer is expected to live to be around 90 years old.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I want that. Well, that's another subject. We'll talk about.
Dad, you
maybe
got 20 more years of doing radio with me. How about that?
I am not going to be doing this for 20 years. I can assure you. I ain't hanging on.
I don't know that I'll be around for 20 years. We'll see.
So
We'll see.
20 years from now, you will be mid 60s.
Yeah. And I have no idea what I'll be doing. If people are still listening to Rainer on Leadership and they still want to tune in, you know what? I guess I'll just keep doing it. Anyway, thank you, listeners. We're always glad that you guys are tuning in. All right. So boomer nuns are declining in a significant way. So more of them are gravitating back into the church. They often are a significant portion of the volunteer base of the church. Because of them being at peak income years, they're often the highest givers in the church. And a lot of them are going to be around for quite a bit longer. So you might as well put them to work. You might as well utilize them in your church. Lastly, and this kind of ties back into the legacy giving and the wealth transfer. You can lead the way for the next 20, 30 years by asking your boomers to set up this legacy giving and to put the church in the estate or the
You're
will
well.
or whatever it is. Dad, I don't, that can seem a bit icky at times. It's one of those things that,
I can speak as a boomer that it does not, and I don't think I'm an anomaly. When you get to be our age and someone is saying, "Hey, have you considered legacy giving to your church?" Most of the boomers are not going to take offense. And here's something that I would encourage our audience to understand. Tell those boomers that this isn't talking about giving everything away to the church. uh, okay, you got children and grandchildren that are in your will, whatever the case may be. It's talking about having a portion of your will or a portion of your estate that goes to the church, just like other organizations are asking. Most people have not thought about it in the context of the church. So they need to be asked, just like asking them to give or donate. They need to be asked, what have you done to leave them in the church in your will? I think it's important, and I don't think it's inappropriate at all.
So we've had some significant gifts given to West Bradenton the last 2 or 3 years out of estates. And those gifts have been a tremendous blessing to the church. They always seem to come at a time when we need them. It's wild. I don't know that the Lord is removing people from this earth at points when it's like, well, the
No,
church needs their money, so it's time to come home. I don't know that that's the case. I'm not going to get into the mind of God there. All that I know is that the people that have been so generous to leave a portion of their estate to the church, it's never a time when, it's not like we get this money and we're like, wow, that's a lot of money. I wonder what we're going to do with it. I mean, when it happens, it's like, oh my goodness, we know exactly where this needs to go. It always just seems to happen at the most opportune time. And I do,
like a few $1 million in air conditions.
we have had a $2.2 million air conditioning project. We're doing that master planning process with Brown Church Development Groups. We've got another capital campaign that'll be coming up at some point in the future. Not like in the next year, but it'll be coming at some point. And I know that God's going to provide, and he just seems to provide through the gifts of those who love our church, and who want to leave that legacy. So I would encourage you, if you've never had that conversation with people in your church, have the conversation. Or even better, find someone who's part of that group, an influencer in the boomer generation, and
That works
and
so
have
well.
them ask. It doesn't have to be the lead pastor. A lot of times it shouldn't be, the pastor of the church. Have somebody in that group who has done that themselves, and have them talk to their peers, have them talk to their friends.
This may have been your church, Sam, so you may have already said the story, but I recall one church where a boomer went to different Sunday school classes, to community groups, and actually talked to
That was
them
us.
about legacy. I thought that was your church.
Yeah,
Actually talked to them about legacy giving, but it was a layperson that
it
did
was. He was chair of our stewardship committee at the time. And because he was chair, he said, I'm going to take this opportunity. He's a brigadier general. Jerry is his name.
it.
So
Yes.
he didn't ask. He gave me an order, and I said, yes, sir. So he just said, Sam, I'm going to go to all the groups with the old people, his words, and I am going to tell them that they need to do this. So he has a way, and he's very, very well respected in our church. And obviously he was very gracious about it,
Sure.
and did it in an appropriate way. The fruit of that is yet to be determined. But I have a feeling that when significant funds are needed, God's going to provide, and there are going to be times where he provides through legacy giving. So this is something that Church Growth Services can help you with. I know you've mentioned Mike, just a moment ago. I'll mention him again. They're very good at, helping out with these sorts of things. So I guess the point here is your church still needs to minister to boomers. Don't give up on them. You need to still continue to reach them. There are plenty in this generation that don't know Jesus or need to get reconnected to the church in some way. A lot of them grew up in the church or had a childhood experience in the church, and have just kind of fallen away. So there is a lot of times we talk about reaching the next generation, and we're going to continue doing that because it's critically important. I guess we're taking a moment in this episode to say that there is an older generation. I don't know if you're old yet, Dad, but there's an older generation.
Oh, don't beat around the bush. I am old.
There is an older generation that's still worth your time, still worth your effort. And there's many reasons for that. And honestly, even if there wasn't all these benefits to your church because you believe in the Great Commission, you still should be doing the work to reach.
Yeah, and you believe in giving. I mean, I know that you said it's controversial about the tithe. My perspective on that is my perspective, but I believe that the Old Testament gave us the foundational giving, the tithe, and I believe the New Testament gives us the freedom to go beyond the tithe. So I think the New Testament not only fulfilled it even more greatly. And so I think beyond the tithe is the pattern. But again, that's not the purpose of this discussion.
It's not, but I'm very grateful for people that think like you in my church, and they certainly help us do a lot of good ministry. A way that you can do really good ministry is through the Rooted experience that can help you create a discipleship culture that connects your people and leads to an ongoing life change in Jesus. This is a proven way for helping people connect to God, to their church, and to their purpose. You can use the Rooted experience to create a sustainable way to launch groups. This is a great approach to get people out of their comfort zone and into this life-changing, life-giving rhythm of discipleship. So go to experiencerooted.com/churchanswers. experiencerooted.com/churchanswers. There is a link in the show notes. You can go there. You can get some free resources from them. This is more than curriculum. It's great curriculum. You can use it as curriculum, but it's even more than that. It is truly an experience. Your church needs to have this experience. Rooted experience, or experiencerooted.com/churchanswers. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode and taking a moment just to hear about the baby boomer generation. I do love my father very much. I'm very grateful for his baby boomer influence on my life. There are many other baby boomers in my church that I couldn't do it without you. You bunch of narcissists are not forgotten. Let me just say that.
I love that.
And you help keep us snowflakes in line. So we'll end on that note. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube, rate, review, and subscribe in your favorite podcasting app. We'll see you on the next one.